Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the biggest stars in the world and some of my favourite people. And we've got both of those today. Terry Fator's here at Mirage, and he has been for years and years, a good old friend of the show. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. As you can see, I'm getting my hair cut before the show. So
this is slightly weird. There's a man spraying and about to make you look delicious. How long does this take on a nightly basis?
It's not a nightly thing. He comes every 2 weeks, and today is the second week, and so we double booked.
This one is strange, isn't it? But we'll carry on regardless. You'll look amazing by the end of it. This show then, let's talk about it. I mean, you've been here forever now, it feels. You were the first big star of America's Got Talent, and you're still riding high, and people still love seeing your show. It's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It has been a surreal experience, and it's an interesting thing because I have people ask me, they'll say, so my gosh, were you worried that it wasn't going to work? And I got to be frank with you, I never, ever expected it not to work. I never even thought that it would fail. I was positive that if people could see what I did, I was positive they would like it. And luckily I was right.
What you have is a unique gift as a ventriloquist, which of course is a skill in itself, but added into that, you're an amazing singer. And I think that's what sets you apart. It is a full production show, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that's what, it's hysterical because people don't realize that I sing. And now, since the last time I saw you, I've started doing something quite different. After my show, every other Wednesday night, I'm doing it this Wednesday night, in fact, I asked the Mirage, is there a place where I can just sing? And, no puppets, no ventriloquism, just sit there and do impressions of singers for an hour. And they said, well, we have this little piano lounge. So I go there for an hour after my show, and I'll do that this Wednesday. And you can just sit there and I'll do impressions of Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and James Taylor and Garth Brooks and just a little bit of everybody. It's just fantastic.
This is one of my favorite special acts in the world, the ventriloquist, because let's face it, what you do is always going to be topical. There's always somebody new to impersonate. I wonder though, what are you most importantly? Are you an imitator, a singer, a performer, or a comedian? Because you've got all of that together, haven't you?
I think I'm just a little bit of everything. I really feel that I'm kind of vaudeville. I don't know if you guys even know what vaudeville is. Vaudeville was a kind of what people did way back in the old days when they would take the trains and they would take entertaining, and pretty much anyone who was a vaudeville star had to be able to do everything. And I think that's really what I am. I'm like a vaudeville show because I do literally everything, and I don't think you can pigeonhole me into anything, any one thing, because I am. I do impressions, I sing, I do ventriloquism, I do comedy, I do puppeteering, I do a little bit of dancing. I mean, it's just crazy. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything in one show.
Do you think we could make a fortune selling your hair on eBay? If I collect this all up, do you think I could make some money out of that?
You could sure try. We throw it away. I never even thought about selling it.
Going back to the show, what's amazing is the sound of the band. In this town, you're able to get the most incredible musicians, and you have. That for you must be very important, because it'd be a lot cheaper just to put on a CD, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, but there's something special about that live sound of a big band. I've got a 7-piece band, and the funny thing is there's a show called the Lon Bronson All-Star Band, and they perform once a month here in Vegas. I've been coming to see them for 20 years, long before I was a headliner. And what they do is they take the top musicians from the top shows in town, and they all perform once a month. And I have 3 or 4 of my guys every single month that perform. So now it's kind of reversed. Now a lot of my band is performing in the Lon Bronson All-Star Band. And I used to come here 25 years ago just to watch them perform because they're so good. So now I think I have the best band in town. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And your act is too. It's so perfectly crafted. I wonder how you manage to keep it fresh, because let's face it, there's a lot of people in this town phoning it in. They do it time and time again. You seem more than anyone to still enjoy it. How have you managed that after this long?
Well, I think when you're constantly looking for new material and looking for new songs, looking for new jokes, looking for new acts, it's like it keeps it fresh. It keeps you from getting bored. I've never phoned a show in my life, and I never will, because I was 42 years old when I went on America's Got Talent. I had been banging it out in the little fairs, and I had been doing these tiny little fairs and playing elementary schools and doing things for no audiences for decades. So when I finally hit it, I said, how can I ever take this for granted? And I don't. I still, to this day, every time I walk out on that stage, it feels new, it feels fresh, it feels like it's the first time. And also just, I'm always looking, and you'll notice that in the show tonight when you see it that I've got tons of material that is you'll be seeing in the press, stuff that that we're talking about, and I've even got a Donald Trump puppet in the show. So, and that's how you do it. You just keep it fresh. If everybody's talking about it, you make sure that there's something in your show about it, and that way people walk away saying, "Wow, it's amazing." I mean, he's talking about things that was just on the news a couple of days ago. It's fantastic.
Are we missing something in England? Because it seems to me that Donald Trump is a puppet and this is all one big joke and one big sort of comedian's bit. Is there a risk he might actually end up your president?
I think it would be the most fun president we've ever had, and I think every comedian in the country is praying secretly that he's going to become president because the material will write itself.
There is that. When we look at your audience here, you still managed to drag him in. I just drove down the freeway and there you are at the back of the Mirage, that huge poster. And then you come round past Venetian, and there you are again. Does that ever become normal when you see yourself that big on a billboard in Las Vegas?
Oh yeah, it actually has become normal. Although I got to say, it took about 4 years. Every time I saw it, it would just seem so surreal. And the funny thing is, I've lived in Vegas now the last 7 years, 8 years, and it's gotten to a point where sometimes I still think, hey, there's my cab, but it doesn't. It's really kind of the same. You get used to it. It's amazing. You would be amazed at how easily you can get used to it. But again, it took me like 3 or 4 years before I was. But now it's still always fun. I think I'll always get a charge out of it.
I think you were season 2, is that right, of America's Got Talent?
Yes, season 2. It was. We did the 10th anniversary show last year, which was fun. And but yeah, season 2, and boy, things have just rocketed ever since. There are 3 America's Got Talent winners now headlining Vegas. So.
Do people still care as much over here? It seems to me the earlier you are in any series, the more it matters. Every year it seems like the fame gets less and the legacy becomes less important. Are you glad that you did it when you did?
I am, but I don't think it really has anything to do with what year you're on. I really think if you have something to offer that is amazing and unique and different, which I do. I mean, to my knowledge, I'm the only person in the world that does ventriloquism, impressions, singing, and all of that all at once. So, if somebody else comes along that does something like that is totally unique and totally different, it doesn't matter what season they're on, they're going to be a success.
The problem with you being here is that you're a huge star and they won't let you go. Is there any hope you might tour and come to England? Because I say this to you every time. We really haven't got anybody that does what you do, and we'd love to see you.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm talking with my agents, and it looks like we're either in the early winter or the spring of 2017, we're going to be coming over to England. So we'll see you then.
Wow, we can't wait. You're looking marvelous, by the way. Let me just tell you, I've never seen you look better.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the haircut's only half done too.
Your life, what is it like now? I mean, you've got a new beginning again. It's amazing how since we last spoke, your life has changed personally. Have you ever been in a better place professionally and personally?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's, not only has my life changed professionally in so many ways, but I met the love of my life last year. I've been through some rocky times in my life, but I met the woman who is my soulmate. We met in April of last year, and we got married in September, and I knew within a day. It took her 4 days to figure out that I was her soulmate, but I knew. I mean, literally, almost the moment I met her, I was like, wow, there's something really special here. And within a week, we knew that we were going to spend the rest of our lives together. So what a huge change, and it's been a marvelous year.
Congratulations. I mean, happiness is hard to find, and to be professionally happy and privately happy is really the dream.
Exactly, and I've been professionally happy for a long time and privately unhappy for a long time. And so, but people don't know that. When I walk on stage, I have to look like the happiest guy in the world, and I have, no matter what I'm going through, whether it was the death of a loved one or a divorce or whatever, the audience never knows it. My job is to make them forget when they're having to go through those things. And it's kind of nice to be just as happy in my professional life as I am in my private life as well.
I've heard people say before that when you walk out on that stage for that 90 minutes, you're in that zone and you're able to forget about everything. Is that true with you, where you're just able to be Terry Fator, the performer?
Absolutely. And the thing is I make a connection with my audience. That's very, very important to me. The only time I can't do that is when I feel sick or I've got a cold or something. But like most women, I'm good at faking it. So you probably would never know if I didn't have that.
Not just the guys are the only ones laughing in the room currently.
Yeah, well, I thought that was a good line. But I can, when I'm on stage, I make a connection with the audience. My goal is at the end of every single show, I want every single person in that audience to feel like they know me and that we have made a connection. And I do that. I don't just ignore my audience. I make eye contact with people in my audience throughout the show. And that's something that I had to work on. It's very difficult to do as an entertainer, but once you learn it, you'll never be able to not do that again, because I feed off of the energy of the crowd. So when the crowd is into it, man, it just makes my job easy. I kind of float through the show. It's amazing.
I mean, you're cute yourself, but the puppets are even cuter. Is that important? Nobody wants to look at ugly puppets, do they?
No, and that's really something that I pride myself on. I feel like I have some of the best looking puppets in any ventriloquist act, and I've gotten some who, some of the people who make my puppets are Puppet Heap, who work with the Jim Henson group. They work with the Jim Henson puppets. Also,
by the way, we should just explain, as we've done a sentence about pleasure and things, that vibrating noise.
This has nothing to do with faking it. This is the real deal. No, so yeah, he's actually clipping my hair. So
this is the strangest interview in history.
It is. So anyway, I would love to hear this sometime. But anyway, so I have a Puppet Heap who does a lot of the Jim Henson puppets. Steve Axtell he did my Donald Trump puppet and my Vicky the Cougar puppet. Keith Lovick is an absolutely marvelous, amazing puppet maker. He does most of my hard figures that are, and that's the technical term, by the way. They're called figures. You can call them puppets or dummies. They don't have feelings, but that's the technical term. So that's why I say figures. But my hard figures are all done by Keith Lovick, and then Randy Semper is the guy who did my Beetle puppet. You'll see him tonight, and he's the same guy who made Alf. Do you remember this TV show, Alf? I don't know if they knew that in England, but the TV show Alf, he's done several of amazing puppets himself. So he did mine, and I'm very proud of that. So
what you can't buy on stage is warmth and charm, and you have that in buckets. And I think that's the reason you're still here. If the audience like you before you've even opened your mouth, you're at an advantage. And I think that is purely down to the 400 years that you were doing this in the crappiest venues around the world and in this country, and you've paid your dues. It seems like that's old-fashioned these days. People want the fame without actually putting the hard work in, and you've done it the right way. That's why you're successful.
I completely agree with you. And I think another thing is that, people had a stake in my success. So the people of America, and even the Canadians were not allowed to vote. No, only Americans could vote. But they actually were proactive in helping put me here. So that gives us a special relationship. And even though people in like the UK or in Canada or wherever else in the world, they couldn't vote, they still feel they had a stake in it because they rooted for me and they were hoping for me to win. And that I think that gives me a special relationship with the audience. And that was one of the things I told myself. I realize it's a game show. I realize that I'm going on television, but I'm not going to create a character. I'm just going to lay myself out there the way I am, bear it all, so to speak, and say, look, you like me or love me, this is who I am, and if you like me and you think that I'm talented, then vote for me, and if you don't, then vote for the one you think is talented. And so I was never pretentious, and I never pretended to be anyone other than I am. And I think I do the same thing on stage. I am who I am, and that's who you get when you see me on stage.
I always say publicists will not decide whether you're successful or not, the public will. And now with TripAdvisor, there is no denying whether you're good, bad, because they'll tell you. That was one of the strangest interviews I've ever done, and I thank you for it after 20 years. You're now complete, ready to go on stage, which means it's my cue to leave. Terry Fator, this is a beautiful show, so brilliantly crafted, and you're so talented. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. We will definitely see you in England. We'll definitely do that. That's coming up either early winter or early spring.
Can't wait to see you. Thank you. Terry Fator here at Mirage in Las Vegas, performing Monday through Thursday at 7:30. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you in England.
Brilliant.